Folks, wait till you taste this one. It's a chuck roast with brown gravy, and it's flat delicious. Well, howdy folks, and welcome to Texas Cooking Today. I'm Chef Trotters, your host, and you've seen what we're about to make. So I'll tell you what, let's get right at it. Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. Hey, on this episode, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a beef chuck roast, and we're going to whip up some brown gravy. Now, I tell you what, let's get on in the kitchen and let me show you how it's done. Come on. Oh, here it is, guys. Beef chuck. We've got some black pepper, salt, olive oil, Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of garlic, and some water that we're going to put down in there. So I'll tell you what, come on over and let's get busy putting this together. Come on. So here we have that chuck roast I was talking to you about. And as I mentioned, it's a grouping of muscles. You have one muscle here, there's another one right here, a third muscle here, a fourth muscle right here, and over here, the fifth. Now out here I also have, as I mentioned, some Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to be using around 1/4 to 1/3 cup of that, a good helping of black pepper and salt. Remember, you have a big cut of meat, so it's not like you're going light just on a steak, okay? A couple of cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to take those and crush them and throw them down in the pot. And then enough water to bring water about halfway up the side of the roast as we're cooking, okay? And that's it. Now, you don't need a lot of water, you just need some in there, and it's going to add to the gravy, but also it's going to keep that meat moist as you cook it. The olive oil, guys, that's strictly to keep stuff from sticking to your pot, so we use it in that way. Now let's get this down into our dish and get busy baking it up. Let's go ahead and get this together. First thing I want to do, as I mentioned, the only thing I need that oil for is just to cut down on any sticking. So I'll get it down in there, and I'm just going to get it worked all the way around. The next thing, let's get our meat down in here. There, boy, wasn't that tough. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be using the salt and pepper, but before I do that, I want that Worcestershire sauce. So what I'm going to do is, like I said before, about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. You see me going heavy on it? There we go. Next, of course, we want some salt on this. So let me get some salt there. And as I mentioned, large piece of meat. You don't have to just be dainty with the salt, okay? Also, black pepper. Now, I like to use plenty because when this cooks up, after I remove the lid, you know, after its initial cooking, and I want to brown it, that makes a beautiful crust. Now guys, when you want to put garlic in a dish like this, and you're not really going to be eating the garlic or anything, all you're doing is flavoring, all you have to do is simply break that clove open. And to do that, crush. I use the side of my knife, okay? There, they're each crushed, and I'm going to put one on each side of my roast. Now let's bring water up in there on those sides, just enough that it's only about halfway up the side of that roast. With all of that flavor going on right there, we're going to end up with a delicious roast beef. Make sure you cover that, like I said, with some foil, or if it's got a lid, and get it down in the oven. I'm going to put that in there at 325 degrees. Okay guys, down in the oven it goes. There we go. All right, there it is. That is 325 degrees. And how long is it going to be? Well, it depends on a lot of factors, guys. How big is the roast you're cooking? First of all, I'm cooking 2.5 pounds. I'm expecting this to be around 2 hours of cooking. The real test is fork tenderness, and only the roast itself can dictate how long it takes to get that condition. Anyway, we're going to long cook this and make it delicious. Just give it time. There's no rush. And later on, when the roast is ready, we're going to be making our brown gravy. Okay, folks, this has been in the oven now for 3 hours at 325 degrees. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, when we started this, we wanted to cook it till fork tender. Okay, boom. That fork is sliding out. All right. This is delicate. It may fall apart. Now I have my drippings here ready to be made into gravy. So the meat goes back into this pan and back in the oven. Now I can make gravy. Now guys, I have transferred my pot to a low flame and we're heating that up. That's going to come to a simmer in a moment and it can kind of just do its own thing. Anytime you take flour and combine it with water, that water needs to be cold, okay? Now tap cold is fine, it doesn't have to be refrigerated. But if it is hot water, you're going to run into a serious problem. Do not use hot water when shaking with flour or it will expand and explode on you, okay? So don't do that to yourself. So I've placed about a cup of water in there with 1/3 cup of flour. Give it a good shake. Now my flour water mixture is ready to go. A little bit of a stir. I'm not pouring all of that in at once, just a little bit. It depends on how much you have down here in this pot as to how much you'll need to thicken it. So I've used maybe 1/3 cup of that total thickening mixture. If I need more, it's there for me. I'll bring this back to a boil again. So get a spoon, pull out some of that and taste it. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of salt in there, maybe 1/4 teaspoon, and about 1 to 2 teaspoons of the Worcestershire sauce. One. The flavor of that gravy is so very good. Now all I have to do is let this cook off for about 10 minutes. And while that's cooking off for 10 minutes, guys, I decided a little broccoli would be nice with my pot roast. So, broccoli we have. Now guys, very important, when you're making gravy like this, you want to stir it regularly, but you also have to cook it. You need to cook it to lose the raw flour flavor, okay? And it'll be there in the background. Once that's cooked out of it, and it takes about 10 to 15 minutes of cooking your gravy to cook that flavor out. Once it's done, and it's ready to go. At that point, remember, stir regularly or keep it covered. It may skin over on you, so keep it covered, and that'll reduce that problem. Well guys, now that everything is ready, it's just a matter of getting some of it plated up. And the neat thing about a chuck roast is these muscles, they will just separate into their own individual components, okay? Remember when I said it would be falling apart? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And of course, it wouldn't be what it is without that wonderful, wonderful gravy. Oh, yeah. All I can say is thank goodness Mom taught me how to cook this way. Because that, guys, is some awful delicious food right there. Guys, I tell you, this is what it is all about right here. See how it's just shredding, it's coming apart. Yeah, right there. Guys, that's delightful. Oh. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing in a few minutes. Guys, you're going to love this one. Thank you so very much for watching Texas Cooking Today. If you haven't done it yet, please click the like button, subscribe, and if you would, leave comments, questions. I'd love to answer you guys. Thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today, and folks, well, you have a good day. Bye-bye. Well, there it is, folks. Thank you very much for watching this Texas Cooking Today recipe. I do appreciate your viewership. If you would, please check out my channel. I have a lot of good recipes on there. and there's a lot more coming. Thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today.